All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to your Daily Dose of Awesome, your live 50 minutes of daily motivation, inspiration, and education so you can get your day started right. Today, I have a very special guest by the name of Miss Kate McShea. Hello, Kate. How you doing?
Hey, Bernie. What's going on? Hi, everybody.
So, Kate,
I'm good.
well, thank you, Kate, for being on. This week, I want to really, basically, my goal is to have as many of our No Excuses speakers and trainers on as possible to give a little preview of what happens in No Excuses, but also just to deliver as much value as we possibly can this week and make this an awesome series of Daily Doses of Awesomes. And you're the first. So congratulations, Kate.
Yes. I win. Love it.
Awesome. So what we're going to talk about today, I asked Kate to come on, not so much to talk about the technicalities of marketing. I want to dive a little deeper in terms of the mindset that helped her achieve some pretty extraordinary things, literally going from a school teacher and making, what, $30,000 a year or something like that, give or take?
36. Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, give or take to making millions over the course of 4 years using internet marketing in her home business, helping other home business entrepreneurs achieve their dreams. And so that's what I want to talk about. I want to dive into what it is that kind of Kate discovered along the way, because the truth is we did not teach Kate anything different than what we've taught other students of ours. We everything you guys are learning about building sales funnels, marketing, building a business online, those are the same fundamentals that Kate started learning. And but there was something different about what Kate's approach and Andrew's approach, her husband, that helped them accelerate rather quickly. And we're going to talk about that ascension and see if you guys can model that ascension over the course of the next 4 years in your business. 4 years may seem like a long time, but trust me, it did not take Andrew and Kate very long to start producing some pretty extraordinary results. So that's what we're going to talk about. But before we do, just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Fernie Ceballos. I'm a lead generation online marketing expert specializing in helping home business owners, that's network marketers, affiliate marketers, direct sellers, multiply their incomes using the internet. I built my first six-figure network marketing business within a couple of years of discovering the information we teach here at Elite Marketing Pro. And over the past 10 years, I've personally been responsible for over $13 million, going on $14 million dollars in gross income into my home businesses. And I've helped our clients produce collectively hundreds of millions of dollars in their businesses as well. A big chunk of those millions that have been produced by our clients actually Kate McShea and Andrew have been responsible for. And so we're going to talk about how it is you actually achieve those results starting from pretty much zero. Now, if you're new to our training, I highly recommend you subscribe to these daily lives. It's very simple. If you're watching this on your mobile device, click on the video. That'll open up some menu options in the top right corner. Click on the ellipses. Right there is where you'll be able to follow us and turn on live notifications so you get these interviews or trainings every time we go live. You get a little ping on your phone, or you can click on that notification later to watch the recording. The important thing is you have easy, direct access to this training. All you have to do is simply follow us on Facebook, on desktop. Similar things right above this video. Click on our logo or the name of our company, Elite Marketing Pro. That'll take you to our fan page. Click like, and under following, be sure to turn on live notifications so you get this content every single day in your notifications for Facebook. So, with that said, Kate, let me see if we're on Facebook first of all.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I can check too.
There we are. For Facebook. So, what is up, everybody? All right.
Like
Okay, we are here. All right.
yes. Good.
All right, Kate. So, Kate,
We are live.
So let's. I want to kind of have this conversation chronologically and through the ascension. Recently you did something pretty extraordinary. You had almost a $500,000 weekend, in your business, and going from where think about that $500,000 in sales in one weekend, and over the and that happened in one weekend recently, and how mind-blowing is that coming from where you came from 4 years ago when you just got started? Just to reflect a little bit on that and what that's like for you, given where you came from, some of the challenges you had to overcome as you were building your business, just so we have that big picture, and then we'll try to break it down for people. How about that?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it's a surreal place in some aspects where I think there's still times where I'm still kind of pinching myself. And I know both Andrew and I are doing the same thing where it's like, did that really happen? Because the other funny thing is I was thinking back to this weekend. So this weekend was a really critical weekend back in 2013. We had just gone to the No Excuses Summit. I think you guys had it in April that year. It was No Excuses 3. And the year before that, I was 100% green. I was actually still teaching at the time, and I knew nothing about this space. My husband, Andrew, was actually the one who had originally started up the business part-time, wanted another multiple stream of income. Like I'm sure a lot of you come in that are currently watching right now. And I was remembering sprinting on that Sunday, on the first No Excuses I ever went to, sprinting on that Sunday evening because my flight, my layover was delayed, and I had about 20 minutes to get to my next flight. And I had just gotten a letter from my superintendent a month before that saying that I couldn't take any more vacation time, or they would have to highly reconsider my employment with them. And it was kind of funny, like had just won, teacher of the year for our district, the year before that. And I was sprinting to make sure that I got to work on time on that Monday. So I look back just at even that experience of I was at No Excuses 3, knowing that there was something bigger out there for me. And if you guys are listening in and you're here live, drop a 1 in the comments if you've ever had that thought. And I'm sure you have, where it's like you just know that there's something else out there that's bigger. And that's the first thing that I realized when Andrew took me to the first No Excuses I had ever been to, was that there were people that were like me, that were motivated, inspired, and just thinking bigger. And then that there was something I could be more of an impact at a different level. And so then what I realized is the next piece of that journey was doing nothing for 12 months. Or doing what I thought was basically nothing. It was just resistance. It was analysis by paralysis. If you guys have ever been in that space before, drop a 2. And it was avoidance of knowing that there was something bigger, but I mentally was not prepared for that. So then that next No Excuses, it was No Excuses 3 at that time. It was back in 2013, was when we actually joined No Excuses, well, now Elite Marketing Pros mentorship program. And at that point, it was just a 3-day workshop. And that's all that it was. It was a 3-day workshop. And we went to a 3-day traffic workshop, and I was petrified. So if we talk about, this year doing $500,000, just right at $500,000 over a weekend, and me going to that first 3-day workshop and not wanting to talk to anybody, it just kind of shows how quickly things can progress. And I remember I didn't want to talk to Fernie. I was afraid of Fernie. I was intimidated by Tim. And then Matt, well, everybody loves Matt. And so I could talk to Matt a little bit, but I kind of stayed in the corner, and I stayed back. And that actually was due mainly in part of me thinking that I didn't deserve to be in that space, that like I didn't know enough, or I couldn't produce what these people could produce. Like I was always comparing myself at that point in time to other people. Like I didn't know enough. And I kept putting myself back in that space of, oh, well, I was only a teacher and I only made $36,000 a year, versus I have a skill set and how can I impact more people? So that's kind of where it first came from. And what was really neat was everything that we've done inside of our business has been a progression to, okay, now what's next? Like we've hit this level, now what's next? So when we went to that first traffic workshop, it was actually Memorial Day weekend, a couple of months before that, which we're going through right now, which is Memorial Day today. We had shot 30 videos in a 3-day weekend over Memorial Day, right before we went to that traffic workshop in July. So we were starting to get some lead flow. And right at that time, we had an opportunity to invest for a whole year with Fernie and Tim and Matt, guys over here at Elite Marketing Pro. And that was at a time where it was financially really, really difficult for us to be able to do all of that. We were in a transition in our lives, and being able to do something like that and invest something like that was really scary. But we did it anyways. And the interesting thing is, like, they were there every step of the way with what we needed each time to progress and to move forward in our business. So the first thing that they helped us with was leads and sales, and how to get more leads and sales, with setting up systems and setting up funnels, a lot of things that you guys are learning here at Elite Marketing Pro. Like literally to the point of where we had one funnel that was bringing in about 55 leads a day, and they had us tweak 2 things on the capture page, and overnight we doubled our lead flow and almost doubled our sales. And so it was the thought process of, and I take it all back to, when something feels like it's so uncomfortable that you know you have to do it, it's like just having complete faith of just jumping forward and knowing that it's going to pay off, right? As long as you're taking the right kind of action, as long as you're asking for help and for feedback, and moving forward, it pays off, which it did for us. So, doubled our lead flow, double our sales. And then we kind of hit this other level and this other plateau in our business where we started doing about, 5,000 a month. And then we were at about 7,500 to $8,000 a month, that next year, right? The kickoff of 2014. And for a lot of people, that would be at a space where it's like, okay, well, you know what? We're pretty much consistently generating what it takes to build a 6-figure income now. Let's sit back, let's relax, let's kind of enjoy the ride. For Andrew and I, though, it's like we've always had, and I don't know if any of you have had this feeling before, but just, comment in me if it's like you've got this burning desire, right? This like fire in your belly that you just know, like, there's more that you can do, there's more that you can contribute. But it might even scare you to death, which was me. I had hit a plateau. We had hit a plateau in our business where it was like, 6 figures. We were going to do 6 figures that year, which was great. And I mean, okay, and then think about that again, though, right? If you go back to Memorial Day weekend, we shot these 30 videos in a 3-day weekend, and then did this 3-day workshop, right, with the guys at Elite Marketing Pro, invested for a whole year with them. They helped us double our leads, double our sales. We got up to this space of where we were consistently doing what it takes to build 6 figures. So literally from scratch, right? We didn't have any business or marketing background from there. So number one, that's the amazing part. And then the next step was like, we hit this plateau of, okay, so we can either continue to just stay at, 8,000 a month, which is great, or we can kick it up to the next level. And so each time, and I'm sure Fernie can attest to this, is each time we would kind of get to this plateau, there would be a breakdown in my mental presence where I would kind of either stop doing things or I wouldn't be reaching out as much. I'll never forget, we were at one of our workshop weekends, and he and I were up until about 3:00 in the morning, which is another sign of a really, really great mentor, is the ones who put in the time over, above, and beyond what they need to do. And that's what these guys do here. And I'll never forget having that one conversation where I just said, he's like, how exciting is it that you're going to be, making 6 figures this year? And I just started crying. And I started crying because I told him I never thought I would be worth that much. And I didn't think that that's something that I could be capable of. And that, that I didn't want to like move away from my family because I was a different person now. And so I had all of these mental blocks. And so, and I'll remember forever what he's always said, and I take that with us. And I know that this is due in part to another reason we've been able to accelerate so quickly, is he says, you'll be compensated for the value that you bring to your marketplace, but also to the amount of people that you can expose to your message. And you have every right to be able to be compensated by that value. And that just stuck with me, because for me, I realized like that was the important part for me, was the impact. And so then we built our business upon impact and how many people can we reach. And at that point in time, it was time for us to create our own courses. So again, we didn't start creating our own courses in the beginning. We utilized a system and we built up our income based upon using that system, right? That was already done for us. And then we started creating our own products. And then the next step after we created our own products was to do a launch. And so then we worked with these guys on how to do a launch. So it's like each level we had, we continued to reinvest in them because I mean, we knew that there were, we said it, every single time we've reinvested with them, 4 years in a row, because I know that there's new things in our business that we can do and how we utilize them is different. So we launched our own courses, and that was the next way. We went from, I think, $8,000 a month to our first $23,000 a month in literally 2 weeks. It was like, boom, just like that. And then from there, we went on to launching with affiliates. And then we went on to co-hosting a live event. And then the next year, which was this year, we went on to doing our own live event and our own coaching programs. So it's like each year we had a different progression because we did the work. We listened to their advice. We came to them with questions on, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what's working. Here's what's not working. What might we do differently? And then we would tweak and we would move on and hit this plateau. And then I think the biggest thing that I noticed that helped with the progression was I would allow myself to get stuck for, months at a time in the beginning because it was a mental thing, right? But then I realized, well, why don't I just utilize them and talk to them and get my questions answered and take that action to give them basically, hey, here's what I've got, here's where we're at. And each time it was like, okay, we're ready for the next level. We're ready for the next level. So it was like, be a really, really good company producer, whether it's affiliate marketing, whether it's network marketing, but use that exposure, right? That was the first one. And then the next one was like, okay, so we've hit that plateau. So what can we do now? Well, we'll create our own stuff. What can we do now? Oh, well, we'll co-host an event. What can we do now? Oh, we'll do our own event. We'll do our own coaching program. So that's kind of how things accelerated for us. And I would say the biggest reason things accelerated as much as they did was because we continued to invest rather than like hopping from one thing to another, like knowing that this is what was going to take time, right? And trusting the process of these guys know what they're doing and these guys have a highly successful business, and that's what we want our business to look like. So utilizing them to pretty much accelerate our growth rather than us having to do it all on our own and try and figure it all out on our own. But yeah, I mean, now going from literally sprinting to get onto my flight to make my, to teach my kids on Monday to then doing 500,000 in a weekend is just, it's unreal, really, when you think about 4 years and having that happen. It's cool.
Well, awesome. Well, drop me a number 4 if you're inspired by that story that Kate just shared on her progression, especially that I remember you crying that night, Kate, at the workshop late at night. I remember you crying. I don't remember what I said. I don't know. I guess in the moment, whenever I give mentorship advice, it's kind of like almost like it accesses a different part of my brain and then I kind of snap out of it. I'm like, what happened? What did I say? But what I do remember is how dedicated you were. It's like, so I want to be clear with everybody here. Kate and Andrew haven't succeeded to this point because they're smarter than everybody else. What I notice more than anything is that they're really good students. And by what I mean by really good students is they get the work done. And whether it's a winner or a loser, whether it's a funnel, an ad, whatever, they always came to us to ask for feedback. They always came back. They stayed engaged. If you're somebody that is afraid to ask for help because you like to sit in your little corner and figure it out, and you don't want to ask for help until you do it right so that you can then impress your mentor, whoever you're trying to impress because you did it right, that's not the way to do it. You ask for help when you've taken action and you feel stuck, but there's something that you're not seeing. You ask for help after you take the action. And so that's what Kate and Andrew were really good at, staying engaged. That's why they continue to invest in our mentorship programs every single year. Kate, with us, you've invested well over 6 figures working directly with us, and you do it happily every year. In fact, recently you're like, hey, it's time for us to give you money again. But the reason why Kate does that and why she's excited about doing that is because of the impact that mentorship has had on her business. But more importantly, she's taking advantage of that mentorship. She's taking action, taking advantage, staying engaged, and not giving up. So that's what I appreciate most about Kate and Andrew, staying engaged throughout the entire process. And because it was, I have to say, it was easy mentoring you, Kate. It was easy because you'd always come with something done. And then if you were stuck, you let us know you were stuck, and we helped you, get unstuck. But you never came to us not having something finished or not having something complete. And so I think that's a lesson for everybody here. I mean, Kate, everybody here at EMP on some level is involved in mentorship, whether it's with their Ignition Coach, in VIP, or in the Fast Track program. So we're a mentorship company, so we have people be able to talk to somebody and engage with somebody every single week. What was your approach to mentorship? Like, how did you approach those opportunities to get feedback from your mentors?
Yeah, and I think, one of the biggest things that I've noticed that you just mentioned, but I think is important to mention again, because I see it a lot. And I see it a lot with just, who we coach and mentor now. And then when we come on your Fast Track to Freedom check-in calls with your Acceleration and Elevation members and Invictus members, I'll see it sometimes. And it's how we viewed mentorship and how we viewed getting mentorship was two things. It was, I want to identify people that are already doing something that I want to have, that I know I can cut the learning curve by learning directly from them faster, right? Because it just makes sense. The second piece of that, though, is I'm going to do the work first to then present something to them versus saying, hey, can you check this out first? Or can you look at this ad? It's not running yet, but I want your feedback on it. I used to do that. And what I learned, or like, hey, can you help me out with this technical thing that and then in the back of my head going, I probably could Google it and I could figure that part out. So we got really, really good at understanding the best way that we got the quickest, fastest progress was by doing. And then no matter what the result was, and that was hard for me too in the beginning, was actually giving stuff to them and having it be a flop and being like, okay, let's figure out why this was a flop versus here's my beautifully done, ad and capture page, and everything's perfect, but it took me 5 months to do, right? And that's what I'll see a lot is I'll see two different things of people wanting an okay before they take action, right? Or people wanting to make sure everything's perfect before they show it to their mentor. And I think that's the biggest thing is like thinking of it kind of like just that imperfect action of just of understanding, number one, that identifying the people that already have what you want and then getting as close to them as possible to just like soak out all of the wisdom, but the appropriate the wisdom, right? The stuff that you really want versus saving any questions on like, how do you set this up or how do you do that? I would Google everything first. And always, I became a master of like, okay, I'm going to spend 10 minutes finding this. I'm going to look on YouTube. I'm going to look on Google. If I can't find that, then I'll ask somebody else. But when it came to like mentorship, it was, all right, what can I do to provide them with something for feedback? Because if I just give them something that hasn't been tested yet, then it makes it really difficult for them to give any feedback. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I see is just like, you don't need the green light from your mentor or from someone else to do something, right? It's your business. The great thing about having mentorship is if you're working in alignment with what they've done before to accelerate their growth in their company, then they can tell you exactly what works for them, what didn't work for them, what we might try different, that can then like push you forward. And it creates that clear vision versus having this fogginess of, well, I'm just going to check first. It's like, just rip that Band-Aid off and do it.
Awesome. And so I hope that provides some clarity for people on how to approach their mentorship, how to approach, being led by a mentor. A mentor is not going to do it all for you. A mentor is not going to. Some people approach mentorship like, oh, hey, just tell me what to do so I can get rich. Tell me what to do so I can make a bunch of money. And it's just like, it sounds weird because that's how everything online is sold, but that's not how it doesn't work that way. There's a part of it that's a component of it that's there's self-discovery there. And you want it to be something that's kind of unique for you. You're going to discover something about your approach and the way you do things that's going to be a little different from everybody else in every aspect, not only in your marketing, but how you approach mentorship, how you approach being resourceful. Kate talked about Googling. Now you can, you look stuff up on YouTube. Pretty much most of the answers you need can be found on either YouTube or Google. And having that resourcefulness is important when working with a mentor, because the mentor doesn't want to show you how to set up a blog post. That's not what a mentor is there for. You can look those things up on YouTube or Google. A mentor is there to really help you with those things that you can't find elsewhere. And I think that's how you're going to make the most of your time with your mentor. The mentor's not going to be there to walk you through every single click. Fortunately, we have people that do that here at EMP, but that's not what a mentor is for. Now, Kate, to wrap up, because I know we're going to dive a lot deeper into all of this at the No Excuses Summit. You're going to be speaking there. We're also, you don't know yet, but you're going to be on a panel, which is a secret duper panel, where I actually want to dive deeper into some of this stuff, because I think, in a way, this is the stuff that sorry about that. In a way, this is the stuff that people need most. It's some mindset shifts that will make huge dividends on top of the technical marketing stuff they're learning. What are your closing thoughts on things related to self-worth? Like, if people feel like they just don't deserve, or they have that kind of negative mind that's constantly tell them you're never going to be there, you're not going to do it, you're not worthy, or whatever that negative voice, that self-doubt, what would you tell people about that voice that's constantly in their head? And everybody has this voice. For some, that voice dominates their life, and for others, it's just a little annoying thing that you tell to shut up every once in a while. But what do you say to that voice? Because I know definitely almost every student I talk to has that voice in it.
Oh man, and the thing I can tell you, and it's so true, is that the downside is that voice never goes away. It's just how loud that voice is. And I will tell you straight up, that voice has overpowered my life in certain time frames of my life. And so there's two things that I can give to you to implement as soon as possible, and to just start doing and start becoming aware of, because the quieter you can make that voice, or the more you can recognize when it's running your outside life, the better you are. So the first thing I can share with you is, if that voice is really, really loud right now, then up who you're hanging out with. That's the first thing. If that voice is super loud and you have these goals of wanting to achieve, super highly successful business, however, that voice is overpowering, then there's an imbalance between what you want and honestly, and currently, who you're hanging out with, who you're surrounding yourself with, and what you're allowing what your intake is, right? So those first things, like, I think of, for me, and honestly, I love and adore every single person that has come into my life, even some of the good, bad, and the ugly people, because they were put in my life for a reason, to allow me to be who I am, and to see that I needed to be around bigger, better, stronger people with how I wanted to run my business and what kind of life I wanted to have. So if that, if you're finding yourself a lot of times sitting watching TV, talking gossip with other people, doing any of that kind of stuff, or allowing people to kind of run your life, then up your influence. And one of the first things I would suggest is getting to No Excuses. Because I'll just tell you, like, that's what changed my life, was getting to that event. So getting to events where you can be with people who are at a higher level is the first thing. And then the second thing is, obviously, that voice is going to be there. So there's some cool things about it. I would say the first thing is that if you hear that voice, I would give yourself a pat on the back, because that means that you're moving forward in a space where your mind is not comfortable. where it's questioning what you're doing. It's questioning things that you're doing because it's taking you away from something that it's used to, right? So that's the first thing. Give yourself a pat on the back. All right. So if you're feeling that right now, or you're hearing that voice a lot, drop a 1 in there and give yourself a pat on the back right now. The second thing to do, though, is to, oh gosh, and I can't remember who I learned this from initially. It might be T. Harv Eker. But basically, when that mind is going, right, and it's saying these things like, you're not worthy, you only made $36,000 a year, you don't deserve to make 6 figures, you don't know what you're talking about, all those things, right, that go along in your mind. Basically, acknowledge it, stop, and say, thanks for sharing, and do the complete opposite. All right. And that's what I had to do to reprogram my mind. And what I did is I had a Post-it just like this, and I would do a check mark on every single time I fought past that voice, right? Instead of giving in, I would put a check mark on my desk on every single time, I didn't allow that negative talk to get in my space. And so I would just acknowledge it and say, hey, thanks for sharing. And then I would realize, oh, taking me out of my comfort zone, good. What might I do right now to get myself into the complete opposite of what it wants me to do? So it might be, okay, I'm going to go write a new email. All right, I'm going to go write new ad copy. All right, I'm going to go post inside the Elite Marketing Pro group and ask the question that I need help on. And so I would put a check, and then I would just try and beat all of my check marks. So if I got 5 a day before, I would try to get 6, and I try to get 7. And then at some point, it conditions to the point of where when you hear that voice, it's like, aha, I got you. And then you're just super self-aware. And then it's like, all set, good to go, move on. And then I continue to just keep upping my influence of the people that I hang out with.
Yeah, those are great tips, especially the part of hanging out with people, because when we're spending time with people and talking to them, obviously the primary voice you focus on are the people around you. And if those people are up to something, they're positive, even if they're not top earners or whatever, as long as they're moving in a direction that you want to move towards, whether it's spiritually in your business or whatever, physically. Like if you want to get fit, it probably helps to be around fit people. If you want to be active, it helps to be spending time with active people. If you want to eat healthy, it probably helps to have people to talk to about the different things you're doing in order to be healthier. So those are amazing tips. And one of the things we'll close with right now, one, get to know excuses. If you want to know more about what the No Excuses Summit is, go to elitemarketingpro.com and you can book your tickets there, or someone put a link in the description of the video you're watching. Click there and get in touch with them. Actually send them a private message. Click on their name and send them a private message. Ask them more about Elite Marketing Pro and No Excuses. That's really, if you don't want to bother going through a bunch of funnels and get a bunch of emails, heck, private message the person that referred you this video, or private message us if you're just watching this on our page, and ask about what's Elite Marketing Pro and what's No Excuses, and how can I get started like Kate has. And then a couple book recommendations that help you kind of deal with that voice. For me, was Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Outwitting the Devil is a great one, especially if you're spiritual. And the second one was the War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Definitely. And so those two are incredible things to help you kind of label and tag and identify that inner voice that's always working, so that you can always be aware of when it's snapping at you, and also be aware of who's leading at any given point. Are you making the decisions, or have you given into the voice to make those decisions for you? So those are my recommendations. But please reach out to the person that showed you this video. If you're part of Elite Marketing Pro, share this video. Share this video. Use your link. Let's impact as many lives as possible and get them to Las Vegas for No Excuses. So thank you so much, Kate, for being on. I know we went quite a bit over. It's not 15 minutes. It was more like 35 minutes. But it's all good. I think people got a ton of value and people stuck here. So give us a number 5. Give Kate a high 5 by commenting number 5 for being on, sharing her time and sharing her experience with us. And we're going to do a lot more of this at No Excuses in person. You'll be able to meet Kate and all our amazing speakers, and more importantly, we get to meet you. So take care, everybody. Have an awesome day, and we will talk soon. Happy Memorial Day.
Bye, everybody.